In today's video, we are talking about how the highest court in the United States, the Supreme Court, overturned the ruling of Roe v. Wade, how this will impact the midterms, how is abortion now, but first up, let's talk about what is actually Roe versus Wade. Roe versus Wade was a Supreme Court decision that was established in 1973 that basically said that women could have the opportunity at an abortion when they wanted to have them. Now, there are some regulations depending on the state where an abortion could take place. There could be some restrictive regulations of how the abortions could be carried out when these abortions could take place, when a woman could not have an abortion, but generally speaking, women were allowed to have an abortion up until recently, in which Roe v. Wade was overturned by a ruling of 6-3, strictly based on party lines, with the Republican 6 justices to the Democrats 3 justices. John Roberts did have a more moderate opinion, as he is the most moderate justice in the court, but generally it was a 6-3 decision in favor of overturning Roe versus Wade. Now, this shouldn't have been much of a surprise given the leaked documents, how conservative the court has been, and several other factors, but in the end, the Supreme Court did end up overturning Roe v. Wade and Dobbs versus Jackson, which was a very similar case that was also decided by a pretty similar margin in court that ended up further protecting Roe v. Wade and its decision. Now, how will abortion be continuously carried out? Now, looking at this NYT article right here, tracking the states where abortions are now banned and which states that abortions could still continue. Looking at some of these states right here, there are 9 states that are currently prohibited and banned from having any abortions. These 12 states, furthermore, are likely going to ban abortions or have limits to their abortions, while all 9 states with 11 million women in reproductive age still hasn't decided about how they will deal with their new rulings. Combined together, these are 30 states in the United States that have or could ban abortion. The other 20 states, though, have written into their constitution that they will allow abortions. As in the state constitution, they basically have said that Roe v. Wade, no matter if it was overturned or not, will continue to be in its constitution and will continue to have Roe v. Wade and will continue to have these abortions. In these 20 states, definitely mainly in liberal states. While for these states that now ban abortion, these are mainly conservative states. So, this shouldn't have been too much of a surprise. Again, Roe v. Wade is more of a party line issue. And we'll talk about how partisan Roe v. Wade is in a second. So, could women still in theory have abortions? Yes. If we look at this NYT article, you can still end up crossing state lines to get an abortion if you wanted to. As currently speaking, there are no laws prohibiting these types of abortions. That being said, this could change. But as of right now, you can still cross state lines if you're a woman that is pregnant to get an abortion in a state that is legal, meaning one of these 20 states, or maybe some of these uncertain states in which they have not yet had a ruling. Now, looking at these 9 states here, most of them are conservative states: Montana, Nebraska, Kansas, Iowa, Indiana, while only 1 state is a liberal state, Virginia, with a Republican governor as well. So most of these states are likely going to ban abortions, but that should be discussed later on. Now, looking at a poll here, how many Americans actually want the decision Roe v. Wade to be overturned? When the decision was first made in 1990, the margin was 58-37 no, we do not want the decision to be overturned. In 2006, when Bush was very unpopular with the Democratic wave, 66% of Americans said they did not want Roe v. Wade to be overturned. Over the past 20 years, this has been pretty steady, with a vast majority of Americans, not vast majority, but majority of Americans supporting the decision Roe v. Wade and allowing abortions in most or all cases. Looking at this should not be super surprising. A majority of Republicans wanted Roe v. Wade to be overturned, especially recently. Overall, a plurality of Republicans throughout these 20 years have wanted the decision to be overturned, but again, this issue has just recently become so partisan, and that's why you can see from May 21st, it was 50%, now it is 58%, just one day later. Now, going to independents here, only about 30-ish% of independents actually want Roe v. Wade to be overturned, meaning that these independents, generally speaking, they do not want Roe v. Wade overturned, and these 30% of independents are likely independents that still lean conservative. For Democrats, only 15% of Democrats support overturning Roe v. Wade. This should not be much of a surprise. And from May 21st, 22% dropped to May 22nd, 15%. This is also a reason. This also shows how polarizing the issue really is. So, among U.S. adults, 35% say they want Roe v. Wade to be overturned, 58% say they don't, and 7% are undecided. Republicans are about 58% yes and 31% no, so that's about a 27% gap. However, Democrats, 80% of them say they do not want the decision to be overturned, and only 15% say they do. So, and independents also split for no, do not want the decision to be overturned by a margin of 28 percentage points, meaning most independents still like the decision Roe v. Wade. Now, here's the thing. Will this impact the midterms? Let's look at, first of all, the exit polls in 2020. How important was Roe v. Wade to Americans back then? And right now, and at the time, this was not actually even a problem, a question in these polls. You could say healthcare policy could be part of abortion, but honestly, you can see just only at best a couple percent of Americans thought Roe v. Wade was the most important issue, and only about a quarter of them considered it a serious issue. A mildly serious issue back in 2020 when Roe v. Wade was not under threat. That being said, right now, according to this U.S. News poll, over half of voters consider abortion as an important issue after this decision was made. This should come as no surprise. That being said, I do expect this number to significantly decrease over the next 5 months until the election, about 4 to 5 months. And according to Fox News, only 15% of voters view abortion as the most important midterm election issue. That being said, you do have to consider that in 2020, only about 5% of Americans viewed abortion as the most important issue. So looking at this, you might be like, well, the Democrats have gained significant ground after this Roe v. Wade decision. Well, unfortunately, if you're a Democrat, that's likely not the case. Looking at the generic ballot, Republicans have barely dipped over the past couple of months. When the leaked draft opinion was leaked, it was about May 5th or so when the draft opinion was leaked in the Supreme Court, and Republicans over the past couple of weeks, there from May 4th to May 20th, dropped only about 0.2%, which is not very significant, and the Democrats, they really did not make up much ground even after Roe v. Wade decision. Around the May 4th time period, Republicans were up by about 2.6. Right now, Republicans are up by 2.3. That is still concerning for the Democratic Party, as Roe v. Wade does not seem to have an impact on the average American voter, which honestly makes sense considering the fact that most Americans, Roe v. Wade is still mostly strict on party lines, and Roe v. Wade is still not the most serious issue, and just because Roe v. Wade was overturned does not necessarily mean people are going to prefer the Democratic Party, especially if you're running in a Senate race, a House race. Generally speaking, congressional races, Roe v. Wade will not be much of an issue. Governor races, it could be slightly of an issue, but given that Roe v. Wade, how states see on abortion will probably already be decided by then. Roe v. Wade is not going to be such a heated issue in determining who wins elections in the United States. And right now, Biden's approval rating after this Roe v. Wade decision has not increased. In fact, it has decreased significantly at around the May 5th period. Okay, so around May 5th, Biden was disapproved of by 10. Right now, Biden's disapproved of by 17. It just does not look good for Joe Biden right now, and Roe v. Wade has not helped him. In fact, if anything, Roe v. Wade seems to have hurt him more than it has helped. So, looking at this, my conclusion is that Roe v. Wade, of course, have been overturned. Different states have their rulings, but generally about half of the states ban abortions, half of the states may keep abortions. That being said, I still think about 28 or so states would ban abortions, and only about 22 states would still keep abortions. Although most Americans do not approve of the decision the Supreme Court made a couple days ago, it still won't really matter in the general election, as Biden's poll numbers are atrocious. The midterm polling has not changed much, just after even a couple weeks after the leak, and even after the decision was finally made. So thanks for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day and bye.